Hi, I'm Kesenya and welcome to Guiding Star Astrology. I'm your Astro Weather Girl, here with this week's Astro Weather Report. I'm going to show you how the stars are going to affect your life this week. Welcome one and all to this week's Astro Weather Report. I'm Kesenya. I want to empower you with the tool of astrology, and we are looking this week at the energies playing out from the 15th to the 22nd of October. This is a personal reading for you, especially for you, but it's not a reading that's looking at the events of the world, what's happening in Europe and America and, other countries around the world and Australia. It's not about that. This is a personal reading for you. But it is a general reading though. So I can't compare everybody who watches this video's chart to what is going on in the astral skies right now. I can't do that. It's just impossible. So it is a general read, but it is very valuable just the same to know your own chart so that you can compare your chart and what's happening in your chart to what is happening in the skies. And when you can do that, then you can actually glean a lot of empowerment for your week ahead through this Astro Weather Report. If you want to know how to read your astrology chart, then I do offer a short course where I teach you how to read your chart. It's available at the Guiding Star Learn Astrology page if you want to know more. So this is a general reading, but it's a personally based reading. I hope that makes sense to you all. And what I will be speaking about today is what is going to affect you, how you will feel, what you might encounter in your week ahead. Now, as many are aware, we're in a massive spiritual battle right now, and we will be right up until the end of the year. I spoke about this in last week's video, how we're in this spiritual battle right now, and the energies of the stars for October and November do attest to that. But by the end of the year, we're going to come out of this spiritual battle victorious. So do hang in there. But this is kind of like a spiritual battle that's been going on pretty much for the last 3 years. Now, many people have been asking me, what can I do? How can I stay in a state of high vibration when everything is spiraling out of control? What can we do as a collective of humans who are trying to live higher consciousness on the planet? Well, the spiritual enemy, if you like, they know that we the people have the power to manifest our own reality, but we're just mostly unconscious of that. And unfortunately, the spiritual enemy use that knowledge that we have the power, but we're mostly unconscious of it. Most people in the world use that knowledge to their advantage. And the media and the government are all part of their agenda to keep us in the dark, and to keep us from our own knowledge and the knowledge of how powerful we are, I should say. And they try to keep us in two states of reality. The two states of reality are a perpetual state of fear. That's the first one, so that the reality of fear is what keeps manifesting. Or they try to keep us in a perpetual state of outrage, so that the reality of outrage and disgust keeps manifesting in the world, and we have more things to be outraged about. So they're the two realities that the media and the government try to push. But the truth is, our thoughts create our reality. This is an old Hermetic principle. And what we can do, our role in this battle, is to fight the spiritual enemy by seeking the highest vibration possible. And the more we manifest joy in the world and love in the world, more gratitude, more hope, more beauty, more kindness, more creativity, more wonder, then the more we actually are spiritually, on the spiritual plane, fighting this enemy that wants to keep us in outrage and fear. I just want to remind you of that. It's hermetically based, but it's got not really much to do with the astrological forecast for the week ahead. But it's just so important that we don't forget this. And so the battle is not over. In fact, the next 2 months might see the greatest battles yet. We have to stand for high vibrational truth and love and beauty and goodness in the world. So if ever there was a time to manifest more blessing on the planet, it is now. There are good people out there doing wonderful things and building incredible communities already. Find your tribe, my friends. Don't perpetuate the fear and the outrage. I've been guilty of that over the last 3 years on occasion as well, because I share some things that I just want to help wake people up into what's really going on. And then I'm like, oh no, I'm actually contributing to this fear and this outrage that's on the planet. We can't be ignorant, but we can resist what they're trying to do by entering into what many call the fifth dimension right now. And I just want to encourage you onto that process of going to fifth dimensional reality. Spread love. Even if you're feeling unloving, yourself, and you're hurting and you're feeling wounded, think, okay, what act of kindness, what act of love can I bring into the lives of the people around me today, even in little ways that I can manage to do? And you'll find the little baby steps that you take to show kindness, to show love, to create a higher vibrational world will tend to multiply. Even if it's leaving a love note under the windscreen wiper of your mate's car. If you can do that, That's creating a high vibrational energy. If it's putting a special little treat in your children's lunch boxes, that's going to lift their vibrational energy through the day. Little ways, little baby steps is how we can do this, lifting the vibration of love into something more beautiful, more wonderful. This is our role in the battle. This is our fight. And what a great privilege it is to do acts of love, to do acts of kindness and generosity where we can, as our spiritual battle, as our spiritual work to fight this enemy of fear and outrage that wants to sort of feed off the negative vibes. So I hope that all makes sense. I just did want to mention that because we are going through probably the toughest 2 months of 2022 as we lead into 2023. So stay strong, my friends. We can win this. We absolutely can. Okay, this week's energy. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Venus is the big gun that we're going to be looking at in the All Signs breakdown this week, but I'll fill you in on what else is happening in the astral skies. If you want to understand how these energies I'm going to mention are going to be affecting you, then keep an eye on the YouTube channel on your subscriptions, because I will have various tiles popping up throughout the week as these energies unfold on the day that they arrive. We will also, if you want to follow my Facebook or Insta pages, you're welcome to do that too, because the tiles will be there as well with the explanation of these energies I'm going to talk about now. On the 18th of October, we're going to have the Sun in a trine to Mars. You can see Mars here in Gemini, making a trine there with the Sun in Libra, 2 yellow air signs. This is happening at 24 degrees. So that is the first interaction. On the day after, as you can see here, the Sun and Venus are traveling very, very close together. On the day after, so the 19th of October, we are seeing Mars making a trine to Venus at 24 degrees, because Venus is traveling that close to the Sun that she's following very hot on his footsteps. That's on the 19th, so the 18th and the 19th. Then on the 20th of October, we're going to have the Sun making a square to Pluto down here at 26 degrees. So I share like I said, the influences of these on my YouTube page through tiles or my social media pages. If you want to understand this one, this is quite a key one. Sun square Pluto. It happens twice a year. So it's not an unheard of energy, but it is rather a kick-ass one, a very powerful energy that is important to note, especially when it comes to things like leadership in the world and leadership in your personal life and your ability to shine in career or with your own ambitions as well. So do check out that tile when it pops up during the week. That one's happening on the 20th of October. Now, also on the 20th of October, so same day, we're getting like a double hit on the 20th of October, we're also having this Venus square to Pluto. And that's what I'm going to be talking about for this week's Astro Weather in relation to all signs. Pluto power meets Venus under this energy. And Venus is the relationship queen, but this is an inharmonious aspect. It's an aspect of tension and blockage. That is the nature of a square, a 90-degree aspect. So this can result in issues of power and control between you and a loved one on this day, the 20th of October. And the Sun feeding into this kind of exacerbates that and agitates that even more. So it can, like I said, result in issues of power and control, but manipulation, people's insecurities will come to the fore. And when people are insecure, they can get very possessive, very controlling. There can be threats, there can be ultimatums. That is not uncommon. And if you've been experiencing that lately in your life, it's going to amp up even more on the 20th of October, either in a partnership, in a relationship is most likely where you'll see it. But if not that, you might actually notice it out there in the world with young women in some way, because Venus rules young women. The sun being involved could also see that with coming to the fore with leadership, people in positions of kingship, if you like, authority, and fatherly kind of roles, which is sun energy too. So if you've been in, like, all these people groups can be affected by this possessiveness, this insecurity, manipulation, ultimatums, threats, and all this dark Pluto energy that is playing out here. Now, if you've been in a tense relationship for some time now, this energy is not going to help you find a truce in any of these relationship dynamics. So what can we do? One suggestion might be to find some space and some breathing room if you'd like to give your relationships of all types that I've just described a chance. So maybe it's a day for going on a drive and just, you know, putting some distance between you and your partner or something like that, or going and hanging out with your mates rather than being with your business colleagues or something like that. Take some space for yourself. Healthy relationships can also do with a break. Even if your relationship hasn't been subject to tension, it's still a good idea under this energy to have some space, take a break for both parties to sort of ease any onset of relational claustrophobia. That's a good idea. We all need our own time, and this is the day for taking our own time. For relationships, and this goes for healthy relationships and relationships that have a lot of cracks running through them, this is an energy for transformation, and this is what wants to happen. Pluto energy, I love it, but he's bloody hard work. He is all about transforming your relationship situations with this energy, and that's what's going to happen whether your relationship is healthy or not. Taking a break, taking a breather actually gives you time to think, gives you some headspace to know what's not working, what is working, what to address, what to be grateful for, and that's how you can work with this energy to the best of your advantage in that sense. Now, if you're single and not in any kind of lovey-dovey relationship, most people are in some sort of maybe business partnership or a client provider sort of situation, so that does apply too. But if we're talking about the sort of romantic relationships, if you're single, be aware that love can come into your life on this day. Pluto creates power. Pluto empowers whatever it touches, even in a hard aspect to Venus, the relationship queen. But it's most likely, if a relationship does show up on your doorstep, it's most likely going to be a very difficult karmic experience that needs to play out in order for you to clear away old loops, old habits, old behaviors, to sort of bring some old conversations out into the light, to, air them, so to speak, and transform them. It's very much going to be an energy of relationship that needs to sort of come to the fore, but think twice before entering a new relationship under this influence. If this is the main factor triggering relationship in your life, do be aware. So there could be some people coming back from the past who are karmic, where we need to clear something with them, and there could be a new love relationship come in that is actually needing to play out to clear some old past life karma or attitudes or behaviors or beliefs as well. That's what Pluto will tend to be bringing about under this influence. Now, because Venus rules young women in our lives might become more intense and controlling under this energy too. So that can be our partners, if we're a man or a woman with a female partner. The women in our life might become more intense and controlling, or it could be a woman at work or a colleague or a friend or somebody who's a younger woman. And this is frequently an insecurity response, because Pluto square to Venus brings up all our insecurities, and and shines a light on them, illuminates them, and draws them to the surface. Pluto is the hidden planet, okay? He's very mysterious, and he is all about the shadow side and the darkness and the hidden things in our life. But when he's interacting with other planets, especially with the great illuminator, the sun, involved, then what's going to happen is the dark shadow attitudes about relationship, or the relationship you're in, or maybe your attitudes around love, or even money with Venus involved too, they're going to be brought to the surface. They're going to be brought out into the light. And any insecurities that we have around money, around relationships, are going to be shown for what they are, and that can make us more intense and controlling. I don't want my insecurities to be seen. I don't want people to know I'm insecure and I'm feeling vulnerable and out of control. So we get more intense, we get more controlling. Pluto shadow side energy. So if you are finding that this is the case around the 20th, then realize this is Pluto work that's happening. Okay, I can feel myself becoming more, my emotions being intensified. I'm trying to control everybody around me. I'm trying to sort of grip onto my money and finances and trying to control everything. Stop and question. Okay, is this an insecurity response in me? What are my insecurities? What are my fears? Do the evaluation. Pluto calls us to do the psychological deep look. You will probably find that you need to work on some sort of self-love instead of blaming the externals around you. I don't have enough money in the bank, or my partner's always, nagging me, or they're never available when I need them, or da, 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 da. And we're looking outside, blaming circumstances, blaming the externals of our lives, instead of owning our own insecurity that's causing us to become intense and controlling. So Pluto on this day will be calling you, if you're feeling those sorts of internal responses, Pluto will be calling you to do some internal assessment. Okay, where am I insecure here, and how can I transform that into something else now? Now, generally, it's not quite as difficult a day for finances as it is for love. Love tends to suffer most under this influence, but still, be wary of spending, and be wary of, saving money as well. Double think before any large purchases under this influence. I would avoid it if you can put it off for a day or two when this influence will end. It's possible that your material goods purchased, and I'm talking not your groceries and stuff, but, buying that new car or that new couch or whatever, it's possible that your material goods will have the purchased on this day under this energy will have some kind of influence in transforming your life somehow. And that might not be for the positive, I've got to say, because it's a difficult, challenging, obstructive kind of energy. So you buy a car thinking, oh yes, this is the bargain of a lifetime. Turns out it's the lemon of a lifetime, and you've got, there's tons of money going down the drain trying to maintain this silly old car that you've got. So that's just a top of my head example. Double think before purchases under this influence. Be wary of spending, and try to save where you can, and put a pin in something that you want to buy for the day, let's say a couple of days afterwards when this energy dissipates. Now, this energy, Pluto square to Venus, is providing an energetic imprint for the lead into the eclipse on October 24th and 25th, depending on where you are in the world. And this will be broken down for you in next week's video. I'm going to double down on the eclipses for you in the videos coming up, videos coming up in the next couple of weeks. There's so much to talk about with the last weeks of October and the early weeks of November. So do keep an eye out for the eclipse video. You won't want to miss that one. But this is the lead in. It's like the energy is building. We're in the eclipse zone already. We're already sort of in that vibe, and this is one of those vibing energies that's part of it. Because you know what? Pluto and Venus were key prominent planets in the chart of the original Eclipse Saros series back in 1046. So Pluto and Venus, or doing a tango prior to this eclipse, is going to be very much drawing on the eclipse energy already. And so we can get eclipse activation on this day, because they're key planets as a part of the original eclipse chart. And the theme of this eclipse, which I'll talk more about next week, this Eclipse Saros series, is sex and power and relational control. These are going to be the themes of the eclipse. Yikes. And so it begins in earnest with this triggering that's coming this week. So Pluto square Venus is like somebody is waving the starting flag for the eclipse to to begin dealing with issues of love and sex and intensity under this influence. Okay, so the starting flag has been waved and we're off. Eclipse energy, eclipse influence, eclipse dynamics, they're at work, they're happening from this point onwards. I'm probably already feeling it a bit already. Many people can tune into these things a little bit before they actually get their go on. So on your marks, get set, go. We're into eclipse season this week, my friends. It is happening. Let's break this energy down for all signs. What is Pluto square Venus going to be bringing us? And let's start with Libra as our first house. So if you are a Libra rising person, Libra sun, Libra moon person, well, this is when it's on the relationship axis for you. It's also on the axis. So what we're looking at here, I should explain. Pluto squaring the sun and Venus conjunct. And you've just had a full moon on this axis. So you guys are going to feel this like really, really powerfully, really intensely. Because now the influence of Pluto squaring the sun and Venus is also occurring on that dynamic for you. Strange relationships can be the result, unexpected relationships, very rapidly occurring relationships. And also, Libra, do be very careful of intense, controlling or abusive relationships under this influence as well. You might find that there are some just really confronting conversations that are held with your partners in the world. And that means business partners and relational partners and all sorts of people. But intense conversations, confronting relationship dynamics that come to the fore. The women in your life might be more challenging to deal with under this influence too. But one of the things that can come out of this is that there might be some shocking truths revealed. Because as I described in the intro, we are having an illumination of the darkness with the sun involved in this. And so there is perhaps something about yourself that might be being revealed regarding relationships, your karmic loops, the behaviors. What's a karmic loop? It's the behavior that keeps repeating. Every time I get with a guy, I always find that my finances take a dive, and, I'm having to support them. I'm having to hold space for them. But then as soon as I end the relationship, up goes all my material status. And that's a karmic loop. If you're experiencing that every time you have a relationship, that's a karmic loop. Self-esteem issues might be part of your karmic loops. It could be, self-worth and self-sabotage could be a karmic loop. It could be codependency might be a karmic loop. It could be possessiveness and control. That's a karmic loop. But what's going to happen on this day is there's going to be some illumination of, I always do this in relationship. I always behave like this. This always happens to me, and this is always the result. I'm not sure who to attribute the quote to, but it goes along the lines of, you can't expect, if you keep doing the same old thing, you're going to get the same old answer. You can't change the outcome if you're always doing the same method. And that is totally not the quote, but somebody out there will know the quote, and I'm sure they'll leave it in the comments section. If you want different outcome, you've got to change the process. So it's about changing that. And Pluto is going to be revealing, okay, what's the truth? What's the truth regarding how I approach relationships, how I survive and thrive in the world? That's another thing that the first house is all about. So you might be like, I always put my money into, this kind of venture or whatever, and it never works out for me. I take a risk and it's always failing. So I've got to make a change now. This is illuminating the truth about, how you're surviving by how you're spending your money, or what career you're involved in, or where you're living, or the community that you're part of, or the relationship that you're in. First house is all the things pertaining to our ability to survive in the world. So you might get some truth revelation that comes to you regarding that as well. It's also very strongly connected to your physical vitality. Sun and Venus squaring Pluto can have an impact on your vitality. You might be feeling a bit tired. You might be feeling a bit lackluster, like your vitality is being drained under this influence. And if that's the way you're feeling, just allow it to pass. It's just an energy that's only going to be sort of there in the ether for a couple of days, and then you might be all right. But do what you need to keep healthy, to keep fit, eat well. You might do a cleanse or something like that. That might help also with this process too right now. There can be some physical effects. And of course, with Libra as the sign here on the ascendant, do honor your kidneys by making sure you drink enough water, enough fluids to support the flushing out of your system. Pluto energy is connected to like drains and plumbing and that sort of thing. And what do we need to flush all the toilet refuse down the drain? We need water, unless we're really advanced and got one of those incinerator toilet systems, which I think would be fantastic. But most of the time we need water to flush things through, and quite literally this is an energy of you flushing stuff out of your body to clear the way, clear the energy out of your body, but also clear the physical gunk out of your body. So it is a good energy to be doing a cleanse if you want to work with this energy to your best advantage, my lovely Libran friends. All right, thank you, Libra. Now for our Scorpio rising, sun or moon people, the energy of the Pluto square to the Sun Venus conjunction here is happening on the 20th of October, and it's happening in your 12th house. The influence will be felt in your 12th house. So this is a house that can be difficult to get a grasp on. It is a rather it's in the blind spot of our lives, and so you might have a difficulty trying to understand why people are being so intense and passionate and controlling of you, Scorpio. Scorpio has a reputation for being that way because it's ruled by Pluto, but that doesn't mean Scorpio people aren't subjected sometimes to very controlling people in their own lives. And you might be trying to get a grasp on, well, why are they doing this to me? Why are they so abusive to me? Why are they so being so intense on me? What is causing this? And look, it could be a karmic thing that's playing out. But if you're experiencing that, call on your guides, call on the spiritual beings in your life. You can call them guides, you can call them God, you can call it your higher self, whatever you like, but reach out for some wisdom, some intuition, some aha moments that might be granted you regarding the behavior of other people around you, rather regarding these people wanting to keep you under the thumb and so on. There can be some very strange relationship occurrences that happen under this influence as well. They would be very unexpected and very, very rapid. For example, we talked about in the intro that this can be an indication for single people of meeting somebody romantic. And if that's what happens, it's likely, especially with this configuration, to be someone of a very karmic nature, very karmic energy in your life. So, if you do meet somebody and you fall or suddenly in love or something like that, just, that infatuation energy, it's likely to be somebody that you have a karmic theme to play out with. There's one or the other of you owe the other something, and something needs to be sorted out in this lifetime and put to rest. So definitely lots of karma here, but there could be something that is revealed to you. This is a house of mistiness and fogginess. It's like I said, it's in a blind spot. So there could be something revealed if you're doing some inner psychological work. So I would suggest doing some therapy under this influence. I would suggest maybe taking some time out to introspect, journal, do art therapy or dance therapy or something, because when you're doing those sorts of activities, that's when the truth can be revealed. Otherwise, it stays misty, foggy, out of our grasp. We don't understand what's going on. So there could be the revelation of something if you are doing some therapeutic work to try and get to the bottom of something, to try and understand something. Because it is a house of channeling. So it is possible that the divine might give you a revelation, but only if you're seeking it. Because this is a house of, an aspect of blockage. So there is a blockage there, but if you take action to address that blockage, then the divine can give you the revelation by aha, or something flowing through you that gives you delivery of some wisdom, some knowledge. I would also encourage you, because it's a dynamic that can sort of drain our vitality. If you feel you need to rest, if you feel you need to have a nana nap in the afternoon, by all means do. It's healthy for you to do so under this influence. You might even have some sort of dreams that could be even a bit prophetic or a bit psychic. If you were to have that nana nap, you know, might get some visions or forebodings, some signs, some omens perhaps. So don't be afraid to have a rest if you need to. Also, it's a house of seclusion and privacy. So again, if you feel that things are just getting too much, especially with a relationship, Libra is relationships. If things are getting too much with relationships in your life, Scorpio, then take some time out to sort of process those things. In fact, I would encourage you to hand over the energy to the divine. Don't feel like you've got to just keep it to yourself, as Scorpio likes to, keeping their energy to themselves and just carrying it all the time. No, this is an energy for saying, hey, you know what? It's all too heavy. It's all too hard. I can't deal with this anymore. Here, take it from me. I can't deal with this intense relationship. I can't deal with this challenging dynamic, and I just want it to end, or I want it to change, but I can't do it anymore. It's more than I can handle. I give it over to the greater good, to God, to the universe, to whatever you want. You envision the great spirit to be. Hand it over and be free, Scorpio. This is your power. During this particular eclipse season, you're going to be able to utilize this energy to hand over things that are too much for you to handle to the divine, and just let it go and surrender. House of surrender. That's what the 12th house is. House of surrender. If you can manage to do that, if you're going to allow yourself to do that, this energy will actually serve your greater good. Okay, Sagittarius, rising, sun or moon. Okay, so the energy of this particular combination is falling for you. Pluto squaring the sun and moon in Libra is falling for you. I'll just grab my thing that keeps my board still. Falling for you in the 11th house. So this is where you're going to notice it the most. And what it can mean is there might be some strange relational occurrences that happen with your friend. A friend or a group of friends perhaps as well. So that's where the influence is falling in the house of friendships. So it could be that a friend somehow empowers you in some way, but in a confronting sort of manner. So Pluto is to empower something, but there's a difficult aspect here. So a friend maybe gives you an ultimatum and says, you know, dude, if you want to live following your heart, then you're going to have to face up to your responsibilities and change this and do that and go here and get courageous or whatever. And a friend, you know, calls you to task. That can be hard for some people to hear. But you might notice that there is this unexpected, strange relational dynamic with a friend that is actually for your greater good. If you listen to it, if you allow yourself to be empowered by it. A friend can bring some sort of shocking insights to you that really shake your tree, rattle your bones kind of thing, and get you maybe even out of a rut. There will be some revelations and some truths about your life and who you are and the way you're living your life that come from a friend, perhaps a female friend as well, because Venus is involved, or a friend who's in a high level position with the sun there. Pay attention to what they're telling you. It could be a real message from the divine, from a friend, designed to liberate you, designed to reveal some truths to you that you're in denial of, that you're not seeing, that you're not opening your heart up to. So your friends may have your best interest in mind with this aspect, or with this triggering energy, I should say. So don't neglect what they say. Pay attention to it. You mightn't take it on board. It's up to you. You have free will, but it could actually be for your higher good. Like I said, it's up to you. Like pay attention to your intuition, which you Sagittarian people have a very strong intuition. So pay attention to it. What's it telling you? Is my friend on the money or not? Should I listen to them or not? Really trust your heart on this. Don't think about what's society going to say, and if I follow their advice or whatever. Think about what you're feeling regarding what they say. So yes, friends could be very influential under this. Now, in the shadow side of this energy, you might find that a friend, could be male or could be female, might be being a bit manipulative, trying to pull the wool over your eyes, giving you false information. This is why you've got to trust your gut and listen to what your inner knowing is telling you. Very key. Because Pluto Not that he's a deceptive energy, but can be manipulating. A friend could be controlling. A friend could be, trying to manipulate you for their own advantage in some way. Maybe for monetary advantage. Or maybe for, their own sense of, I don't want you to go off and have happiness because then it makes my life look shit. Or something like that. There's some sort of power control dynamic that could also be playing out with this. So be fully aware and alert that these energies could be exhibiting like this. Now, this is also the house of being profitable and gainful, I might add, also Sagittarius. So Pluto's a very ambitious energy, and so is the Sun. But they're in square aspect to one another. So what does this mean? It means that you can have a great deal of ambition for what you want to be gainful for achieving your dreams, for achieving your goals. There's plenty of ambition and drive there, but there could be a power struggle about how you are achieving your goals, how you are attaining your goals, the goals that you want to achieve. Now, that power struggle could be with anyone. It could be with an authority figure in your life, or somebody who you look up to and respect, someone of influence, or it could be with a partner, because Venus is relationships. It could be with a young woman. These people represented by Venus-Sun conjunction, causing some headbutting, some power and control issues about how you are achieving your goals and your dreams. Maybe let's just use an example. Sagittarius likes publishing. You might have a book that you want to get published, and you've spent, years writing this book, and you're like, I'm going to send it to a publisher, and you share it with your partner, Venus and Libra. You share it with your partner. Check out my book. What do you think? You reckon it's ready to go send to a publisher? And for some reason, your partner doesn't want you to send it to a publisher. Might make them look bad. Maybe there's something in the book that reflects badly on them or something. And so there's this power struggle. And you're not sending this, and I'm not going to let you, and you can't do this. And you're like, oh, I've been working for years on this. Power struggles regarding goals and dreams with a partner, and I've just pulled something out of thin air there, or with some sort of an inspirational figure who's disapproving of a goal or a dream or how you're going about it, or they don't like it for some reason because maybe it makes them feel bad about themselves or something, and there's this selfish energy and the lower vibration of Sun ego. So I hope you're following me. A lot of this, I think, is just coming through. I can see the astrology, but then the examples I'm giving, like that's whatever the divine gives me. So for some people it may resonate, for some people it may not. But what I can say is this is all about your dreams and goals, and there can be power struggles over your dreams and goals and aspirations in some way. There could be power struggles over community property as well. Maybe you want to use that local tennis club for a yoga weekend that you want to run, but then at the same time the tennis club has a big party celebration booked, and you're like, power struggles with somebody over some sort of communal property or the use of some communal property. There can be, it could indicate for some people who are Sagittarius and involved in the stock market, it could indicate some volatility with the stock market. So be very cautious if you're a trader dealing under this energy on the 20th of October as well. It's also the house of large groups, and so that you might find that you're at odds with a large group. You thought you were part of a special movement or an organization or a club or something like that really you are on par with, and something occurs for you on the 20th of October and you're like, I'm just not in the same plane as these people. I feel like they're trying to manipulate my thinking, my thought processes, my attitudes. This is an energy for manipulation of the masses, even, through media, through group influence. And if you don't come into line with what the group thinks and what the masses are thinking, then we're going to kick you out, or you're not part of us or something. So there's this manipulation and control and intensity with a group situation of some description as well that can show up too. Be aware of that as well, Sagittarius. I would encourage you, that's not healthy, that's not good. I would encourage you to stand in your truth and to stick with what you know is real for you, no matter what that is. I don't know what you believe, but stick with your belief systems and don't allow yourself to be manipulated and controlled by the masses, as they may try to do under this influence. All right, I think I've covered everything there that was coming through to me. Thanks, Sagittarius. All right, Capricorn rising, Capricorn sun, Capricorn moon. If you have any of those placements, this is a reading for you. And we are looking at the 20th of October Venus square with Pluto, and the sun's involved as well. So a lot of this influence is playing out through your 10th house. This is the house of where we are an example to others. It's also an angular house, so it is very potent. Angular houses always give stronger results. And something I've neglected to mention with the last 3 signs is that this is all occurring within a proximity of the star speaker. And so having the fixed star speaker activated in the 10th house can give a lot of power to a career. But look, it is a square aspect, so it is difficult. Now, we can also see that Pluto is squaring this aspect, the Sun and Venus conjunction from Capricorn and your house, your first house. So you might be self-sabotaging your career in some way. And this truth might be revealed to you. Maybe you're denying yourself the chance to go for a promotion, or not making the most of an opportunity that's shown up on a platter for you. Or maybe you're insisting on doing things a certain way, Capricorn, and it's actually not in your highest good for the benefit of your career growth. So that can be a thing. Be very, do some deep introspective work. How am I self-sabotaging my career? How am I not honoring myself? How am I not putting myself forward as I need to progress in my career? As I said, it's also the house of our example to other people. So there could be, when you are in a situation of relationship, Libra, with a boss, with an authority figure, or with a government organization or something like that, you might not realize it, but you might be an example to other people. You might be waving the flag or heralding this is the way you deal with something. So be very aware of your behavior and what you're trying to achieve, because there's going to be in some way people looking. Now, that might be, I'm going to use an example. You might go to get a town planning permit for a certain venture that you want to establish or that you want to get going in your life, and you, through undertaking that, might actually be the one to set a precedent for that type of planning approval. And so you're the one by taking that step towards getting a planning approval. I don't know, I'm going to use an example. Maybe you've got a rural property and you want to open it up to everyone with tiny homes to come and just live there, but you need planning approval to do that. And so you go through the process of getting planning approval for it. And what you may not realize is that this planning approval that you're getting for this new village life for tiny homes on your farm can actually be an example to all others who follow, setting a precedent for everybody who comes after you regarding how to build an eco village or a tiny home village on a single property. So this is what I mean. This is the house of our example to others. What you do, and this might be playing out on the 20th, is going to somehow be a beacon light, a shining lighthouse for others in some way. And I've used a planning example, but it could be in any field whatsoever. It could be with relationships. It could be a career-oriented thing. It could be how you're dealing with your home or your property or something. There is something here that says you are going to be some sort of shining light and example to others. So be very conscious of how you approach it, how you go about it, how you deal with things, because you will be being observed or viewed in some way. And so be careful again of sabotaging something like that. You get so cranky and so manipulative and so controlling, Capricorn, Pluto, that you stuff up this opportunity to be a shining light, shining beacon for other people. Be very conscious of the need to have control and be too intense, and it ruins this opportunity to shine your light and be that example. I hope I'm making sense. I feel with this reading, I have to say, Capricorn, I feel with this reading that a lot of it's not me that's speaking. I don't know who's speaking, but something's coming through. So there might be a lot of mixed up kind of messages that maybe something's for one person and something's for another. Take what is applicable to you here. This is the house of our responsibilities and our social obligation. That kind of ties into what I was saying. If you have a leadership role, know that you're going to be being observed in life, and you should be very conscious of being too manipulative and too controlling if you have a position of leadership. If you have a political position, if you have a leadership position in some hierarchical organization, do realize you're going to be being watched. And if you're trying to control people, manipulate people, if you're being if you're being very domineering, power hungry, greedy under this energy, people will see that and people will notice that, and it's not really working for the greater good, the higher good. So a bit of self-knowledge, a bit of detachment and self-observation is essential for you Capricorn people. You can be very really driven to gain public visibility and public approval. And you might be able to achieve it too. You might be able to gain a lot of public visibility and approval, but make sure it's ethical, how you're getting there. Make sure it aligns with your personal morality. Otherwise, you could end up regretting what you've done. Okay? This is also the house of bosses and our father. So just as an aside, if none of that, what I've just described, you feel applies to you, it is possible that a father figure might be acting very strangely or treating the relationship you have with them very unusually. And so there could be controlling dynamics there. There could be some abuse tactics there. Like, let's say the boss has asked you for the last 4 weeks to come in and work on the weekends, and you keep coming in, and now he just assumes that you're always going to come in on a weekend. Well, then maybe that's abuse of the relationship dynamic you have with your boss, and maybe you might need to sort of own your power and do something about that. Stand up, but he might push it a bit too far, or she might push it a bit too far this weekend, and it can cause some feelings of being controlled, feelings of being abused and taken for granted. So be conscious of that as well in a workplace or particularly career type situation too, or with a father figure where they're just taking you for granted and expecting that you'll just jump when they say how high. All right, I think that's about all that I needed to share for our Capricorn friends. For our Aquarius rising, sun or moon friends, we are seeing the energy of Pluto making a very difficult square aspect with the sun conjunct Venus in Libra, falling in the 9th house. So Aquarius, this is happening on the 20th of October at 26 degrees. If you've got planets here, you're going to feel this one even more so. There can be some very strange relationship occurrences that unfold with a mentor or a person of inspiration. Maybe a minister or a judge or a priest or somebody in an influential role. Could be a university lecturer as well, perhaps, or somebody that you look up to as your source of inspiration. That could be somebody on YouTube, or it could be somebody that you know around town who just seems like they've got their life together and they're a source of inspiration to you. There could be some strange dynamic that occurs between you and a person like that. What do I mean by strange? They might be just behaving in sort of eccentric ways or intense ways. They're just too full on. They're just too much. And you're like, what's going on here? I don't get this. There could even be some situations of abuse. And I'm not talking, slapping you around kind of abuse. But it could be just taking advantage of you. That's quite a bad thing, of course. Emotional abuse or just manipulations and expecting that you will just be there for them and do what they want all the time, and sort of taking advantage of the situation can be a form of abuse as well. Codependency, although that's more seen through personal relationships, but we're talking about an inspirational figure here. So we can also see that there's something going on with your belief systems as well. You might find that through some difficult life experience, it's a square aspect, something happens and there is some sort of shocking insight or revelation or truth revealed regarding the women in your life, Venus, or inspirational figures, Sun here as well, or something is revealed about your belief systems, the ethics, the morals that you have aligned yourself with, and you might suddenly get an illumination that, hang on, that's not right, that what I believed is not the truth. The way I thought about the world, the way I perceived the world to be, is actually the opposite of reality. There can be something that absolutely transforms us, Pluto energy, shakes us out of our tree and really upsets the apple cart with our belief systems. And we're seeing a lot of that happening over the last 3 years, quite frankly, in people's lives. People have seen the truth that's been there hiding in plain sight for years, and now it's all come out. So there might be something you discover this weekend regarding that could sort of tie into those themes for you. So yeah, expect to be surprised. Expect the truth to be revealed. The ninth house is connected to our purpose and our mission. It's what gives our life a sense of meaning. So Pluto here, look, there can be an illumination with the sun here, but Pluto is trying to reveal a darker side with this hard aspect as well, and show you the dark side of who you are, maybe, your shadow side, as we call it. We're all human, we're yin and yang, we're a bit of both, and Pluto wants to show you to your darkness, so that you can understand your meaning and your purpose better. What do I mean by that? Well, maybe you have a habit of manipulating or controlling people, while we're on the topic of Pluto, but you've never seen how you actually do that, or how how that behavior exhibits. So it's there, but you're not aware of it. And lo and behold, we have this aspect where Pluto's dark side, or our dark side, is being brought to the surface. And once we see, oh my goodness, I had no idea, but I can see now how I'm trying to control all my money, or control in my relationship, or not allow people the freedom they deserve to live the life that they're here to live. We get a reality check about those things, and it can actually affect how we then approach our purpose and mission in life, and so we decide we're going to change our habit of controlling, going to change our habit of trying to manipulate people to our agenda, and that then allows us to step more into our own truth. This is the house of finding our truth, so that we can live our life with more meaning and more purpose, free from the need to control, free from the need to dominate or manipulate other people. This is one of the houses of freedom and liberation and finding truth. So by doing so, by having these things revealed to us, the shadow side, it's not easy, Pluto square aspects. By having the shadow side revealed to us, we can then transform it, compost those behaviors away, and change it so that we are freer, we are lighter, we know our truth, and we know what we have to do to move forward. It's always good, my Aquarian friends, when the sun is moving through Libra for you, because this is an illumination of your life purpose and the meaning of your life. So don't think that this isn't a time when you can get a revelation about where you're headed, what you're here for, why you've incarnated. But Pluto's square is at this time is saying, you know what, that can happen, but first you've got to let go of this old chestnut that's stopping things, that's blocking your ability to move into your truth. Now, as we know, this energy at the ninth house does have a lot to do with other cultures and their practices, as well as long distance travels too. So look, there might be some challenges with those topics, those themes. Maybe if you're doing a university degree of some sort, you just haven't had time to produce the assignments you need to do or something like that. There can be some difficulty, or if you're wanting to take an overseas trip or go to the other side of the country, there's some sort of impeding, blocking energy in doing that. But I want to encourage you, if you can push through those blockages, or sort of own your power within those blockages. Like, it might mean if you've got an assignment due, you've got to carve out time and say, hey, I can't go out to that party tonight. I'm owning my power, and my ability to say, I need to finish my assignment, or, I'm going to find that plane ticket that I need to get to this destination that I have to get to, come hell or high water. I'm going to own my power and push through. Then you can actually get the blessing, ninth house. But there might be a challenge that you've got to undergo to get there, okay? That might mean owning your power. It might mean, being determined and pushing through Pluto energy in order to receive the outcome, to do with university, to do with exploring other cultures and long distance travel and those ninth house themes. So there are a few topics there. I hope that something resonated with those of you who are Aquarius and watching this. Thank you so much. Let's move on now to Pisces. Pisces rising, Pisces sun, Pisces moon. The energy of, this is an interesting one, the energy of Venus in a square with Pluto is playing out between the 11th house here and the 8th house. And of course, Venus is in a conjunction with the sun in the 8th house. So it's mostly 8th house energies where you're going to notice this. Okay, my beautiful Pisces, you might find that something suddenly and unexpectedly, 8th house occurs with a woman in your life. It could be a partner. If you're not in a partnership, it could be that just some woman in your life enters your life unexpectedly, and there's some sort of crisis associated with this. Okay, so it's a very crisis-induced energy when the 8th house is involved and Pluto is involved. So somebody might be feeling like they're in a state of crisis. You might be put into a state of crisis because of a woman, or if you are a man, you might be with a partner who has a female partner. I mean, not all men are with female partners, but if you are with a female partner, it could be from that end. Actually, to be honest with you, Pisces, it could be with a masculine partner as well, because the sun is tied into this too. So look, it could be from male, female, probably doesn't matter. But some sort of a intense crisis that's induced by somebody else's presence. So you might find that a man or a woman is being controlling or even abusive. It's a house of abuse, unfortunately, in a relationship dynamic. Okay, so you might receive an email from somebody that you haven't spoken to for years and years, and somehow they come back on the scene because they're remembering some slight, some comment that you made years ago, and it's just festered and got yucky, and to the point where they're like, you said this to me years ago, and now I'm so upset and angry at you because, you shouldn't have said that, and I just need to let you know that you shouldn't have done that. And so there's this, could be communication. Mercury is in Libra after all as well. Communication that could be like intense and abusive, that maybe causes a lot of upset in your or rocking of the boat, so to speak, that might happen in your life under this influence. But it'll be very unexpected, something that you wouldn't have seen coming, just maybe an email, maybe somebody shows up on your doorstep. Okay, so be aware of that, and it could cause a bit of a crisis situation in your life. We know that there can be threats and ultimatums when we get to the relational houses, and this dynamic is a part of things. So if you are in a marriage or even a business partnership, there could be threats and ultimatums that are flying around everywhere under this influence too, my beautiful Pisces friends. So for some people, it might indicate a separation is ensuing. Or some sort of a hairline crack appears in a relationship. That could be the case too, because there's just such intensity and control and abuse. There's a wanting to hold onto something and grip onto something, but it's not going to happen. Libra is a cardinal sign, so there could be an intense drive from somebody, some relationship, to control a partner. You could be the one doing this, Pisces, or your partner might be trying to do this to you, but there is no, the changeability of Libra is also being activated here. You're also going to be having the eclipses occurring, not so much in the relational houses, so unless you're in your second life partnership. So in that sense, that's important to note too, but I'll talk more about the eclipses next week. It is a house of fast changes, shocking events, dramatic reversals, and transformation. So yes, transformation is coming to you this week, Pisces. A change in dynamic, 180-degree turnaround for the situation that you've been in. That is certainly on the cards with this interaction with Pluto and these planets in the house of rapid change. And of course, Pluto has to do with the dark night of the soul. So you might at some point, pardon me, in the week ahead, you might go into some sort of depth of despair. Maybe one night and you just have a big cry or whatever in the shower. That's something that I like to do on occasion, just a natural Pisces thing. Let the tears, Pisces rules tears, flow. You might have a sort of a dark night, just one singular dark night. But that's Pluto energy impacting this and having a bit of a cry. But know that when you go into the underworld, you will then emerge, and we can have little, overnight experiences of this or something, emerging into greater consciousness, greater awareness. So this can happen for you as well, I would say, Pisces, this week. So if you do strike an energy of sadness, allow it to flow through you. Don't try and, squash it down or ignore it or pretend it's not there. Let it come up and let it flow out so that you can purge it and move forward. I would be careful of any sexual relationships. If you are single and you hook up for a one-night stand or something like that, it could end up being something that you regret. There might end up being some sort of abuse involved with that. So do be very, very careful. If you're a single person looking for that kind of a dynamic on this day, I'd put it off. I'd wait until a couple of days later because it's just a bit too risky under this Pluto square energy. If you're in a relationship, you might want to experiment with your sexuality perhaps under this influence. Nothing wrong with that, by all means. You might even be interested in a bit of sort of, I was going to say sadism, if that's your thing, but the bondage and that kind of stuff. Pluto might give that influence to your interest in the bedroom. This is a house of sex after all. So just be careful. I mean, look, I'm going to talk about 50 Shades of Grey. I never thought I would do this on YouTube, but if you've got your red room happening, and it's just a bit of fun, that's fine. Just be careful of taking things too far with this Pluto energy, okay? It could get a bit intense, it could get a bit over the top, and even end up being damaging. So please, if you're going to do that sort of thing, just be cautious, be careful. There can be some shocking revelations about what is truth to you, Pisces, with this energy as well. Something might be revealed. This is a house of secrets, but it's secrets that we know about. The 12th house is what we aren't aware of. This one, we totally do. We know what's going down, but we keep it in, like the skeleton in the closet. So something might come to light, something might be revealed that you knew was going on behind the scenes, that you knew was back there. Subconsciously, you probably had a full awareness of it, and now the truth comes out. This can happen around the 20th for you. There can be a revelation. Something comes to light, steps out of the closet and is revealed. An illuminated sun is involved with this dynamic after all. I'd also just make you aware, Pisces, that if you're dealing with other people's money, maybe you're an accountant, or maybe you're a tax agent, or you're handling somebody's will or something like that, be very aware, beautiful Pisces friends, that there might be some headbutting around wills, around your clients if you're an accountant, or perhaps your tax people that you have to deal with or something. If you're dealing with other people's money, there can be some argy-bargy, some head-butting, some controlling conversations, some manipulative conversations that take place. Forewarned is forearmed. If you are in a situation like that, you'll know. Kesenya said, oh, this would happen. Yep, okay, so right, let's get on the front foot and deal with this as objectively as we can, okay? This goes for community property as well. You might be looking to get some use of some sort of public land or a public facility or something. And there might be some hurdles to overcome, some red tape to deal with. You might have to write a letter to the council or something like that, and it feels like a nightmare. I want to encourage you to push through, knowing that good things can come if you persevere. Okay, thank you, Pisces. For our Aries friends, Aries rising, sun or moon people, well, my dear Aries friends, you have had the full moon in your first house, which was part of your relationship axis, and that probably triggered a lot of hairy experiences in your relationships, I would say, over the last week. Note that this energy is not going to help resolve any of the problems that arose under that. Pluto making a square aspect to the Sun and Venus, planet of love and romance, and your 7th house Lord, is likely to exacerbate any of the arguments, any of the strange relational occurrences that happened. They are going to keep happening under this influence. If there was an element of control or intensity or abuse involved in a relational situation, maybe you were the instigator of the abuse, or maybe you're the recipient, it doesn't matter, it can go either way, then that is going to continue. And there's a reason behind these things, energies unfold for a reason. And you're like, why am I having to deal with this? Maybe because the universe is trying to tell you this has got to end. You have to step up and change your karma. Pluto is our karmic planet up here. You have to change your karmic behaviors with relationships if you want this dynamic to end. We don't change an outcome by repeating the same behaviors. If you want the outcome of your relationships to change, You have to change your behavior. You have to do something different. So this is a call. This is what this is calling you to do. But you might be stuck in your behaviors and so ingrained in your behaviors that it's really, really hard to change. This square aspect says there's a block here to changing. There's a block to transforming your relational behaviors. But if you want a change to happen, if you want a different outcome, you're going to need to change. It's essential. And this goes for your business transactions as well. This is a business house too, so you might need to change how you approach money, but it might be hard to do so. You're like, I can't see an answer. I can't find a solution. You've got to look. You've got to dig deep, Pluto, to find a solution so that you can get a different outcome to what you've been living. Okay, so there might be some shocking insights and revelations or truth revealed regarding your relationships. Something might come to light that you had not been aware of. Something is illuminated now, and that could be, you know, anything to do with relationships of any type, relational nature. So eureka moments that change everything. Pluto can bring that about. Remember, you're an eclipse energy, and it is going to be a very relational eclipse energy for you, my Aries friends, because this is where the eclipse is occurring. It's in the house of partner. It's one of the partnership houses. So yeah, with this dynamic in the week before, and then this dynamic in the week of the eclipse, yeah, there's a lot of relationship stuff coming to the fore, being exposed, being revealed for you. So what changes do you need to make, Aries, to your beliefs about relationship, your behaviors around relationships, to make sure that there is a different outcome from what you've been experiencing, maybe for your whole life? What do you need to change in order to get a different result? Now, this is also the house of how we can act in a business setting. And let's just say with this interaction going on, you might be being very intense in a business situation, very controlling in a business situation. You might be delivering ultimatums left, right, and center to the people that you work with and work for, acting like a real prima donna. Be conscious of that this is the energy that's filtering through you. And you might need to sort of be very aware of letting that go and not engaging with that energy that wants to express. The other thing that I will mention with this combination is that this might be playing out through your partner, okay? So your partner might be issuing ultimatums and making demands and saying, you must do this or else it's over between us or something like that. There might be that sort of thing going on. If that's the case, Aries, you know, maybe it's time to evaluate whether this relationship really is for you and is in your highest good. Business partnership, client relationship, marriage, any of that. We are seeing a lot of relationships come under a lot of pressure and stress in the final half of this year, and some relationships are meant to conclude. Some relationships are meant to evolve and transform through this. So there's work required for relationships in the latter half of 2022, that is for sure. You are doing the work, Aries, I'm sure. If you're watching this video, you're keen to transform and change and understand what's going on, so you can do this. You've got this. Pay attention to any insights and revelations and truths that reveal themselves now, and use your Aries initiative. Act upon them to make the changes so that you get a different outcome from what you've been experiencing relationally. Okay, thank you, Aries. Taurus rising, Taurus sun, Taurus moon. The energy of Pluto squaring the Sun-Venus conjunction down here, happening on the 20th of October at 26 degrees, is playing out in your 6th house. This is the house of our victim mentality. We can all go into a victim, poor me, it's not fair, they cheated on me, my parents didn't give me a good upbringing, I'm so disadvantaged, and we blame everything externally. Which may well be the case. I'm not saying that these things didn't happen or that that's not the reality, but sooner or later, part of our growth in the human incarnation is to turn our victim mentality and our victim experiences into a source of power for us, into a source of transformation. We transform from being the victim to helping people in victimized situations because we know what it's like to be in that difficult circumstance. We heal our wounds. This is a healing house. We heal our wounds, we transform, we move into something better, something higher, something of service for the world. Very, very important house, the 6th house, because of this, especially for people doing that high vibrational work of transformation. Let me just say, this aspect from Pluto to this house right now is saying, you know what, Taurus, you need to change that old victim mentality in some way, shape, or form, because there's some indication here of a blockage. And Pluto wants to transform something, but something is blocked. So what is it in your life that you can be a bit of a victim about? You know, look, I'm going to be honest with you, Taurus. You know, I'm a single mum, and sometimes I catch myself because I'm saying, well, you know, I can't have the happy life that everybody else around me has because I'm a single mum. That's victim mentality. Bugger that. No, I'm going to do the best that I can in the circumstances that I've been given in life to live my best life possible. So no more victim mentality. I want to change that, but I do catch myself sometimes leaning on that old chestnut and saying, oh, it's not fair, I'm a single mum and that's why my life is so shitty, you know, and that's not healthy. We've got to transform that behavior. And so that's an example. Where are you, if you look at yourself objectively, where can you see that you are in a victim mentality? How can you change that thought pattern? How can you change that behavior pattern? Pluto wants to transform it, but there is a block to doing so, and maybe that block is not seeing it. The Sun and Venus might want to illuminate that for you now and get you looking at, okay, where do I act like a victim? What do I need to do to change? So that can happen. But look, this is a house of enemies, and you might find that people who behave like your enemies in your life, and of course that can be anyone. Sometimes we feel like our best friend is our enemy. Sometimes we feel like, you know, our boss is our enemy. Like, it doesn't matter what their label is in relation to you. Sometimes if they're not acting in your best interest with your best life in mind, they can actually be more like an enemy than a friend or a spouse or a boss or something. Can also mean literal enemies as well, just people who are trying to pull the rug out from under you all the time. But enemies are seen from here. So, you know, there can be some increase in intensity, controlling behaviors that are coming from people who are acting not in your best interest, not in your higher good, who are acting like enemies in your life. So do be aware of that, you know, and maybe you might like to just assess, okay, is this person acting for my greater good, or are they acting from a desire to sort of bring me down? Maybe you might need to assess a few of your relationships that way too. Women are represented by the Venus energy here. Women in our lives can be more challenging for the next few days from the 20th of October onwards. Under this energy, we might find that women are interfering, manipulative, controlling. Women are issuing ultimatums at us in some way. And we might be sort of feeling a bit sort of not supported by the women in our life. Perhaps, you know, it could be women that we thought were our friends that are now acting like they're not. That kind of thing can be the case as well. There might be an illumination or a revelation of where you are letting your body down. This is a house of physical well-being. Where you're letting your body down, where you're not, you know, eating as well as you should be. There could be a truth revealed about your habits and you know, your behaviors regarding health, fitness, diet, exercise, well-being. So pay attention to truths that are revealed under this Pluto dynamic too this week. Thank you, Taurus. Gemini rising, Gemini sun, Gemini moon. Okay, we're seeing the energy of Sun conjunct Venus squaring Pluto this week on the 20th of October, occurring in your 5th house. Well, look, there could be some unusual behaviors from your children. They might be acting out. They might be, you know, making, you know, if you have older children, they're threatening you with ultimatums. Mum, if you don't do this, then I'm going to go and do this. You know, and that's a form of manipulation, a form of control. In younger children, they might just be sort of acting out in temper tantrums and stomping the foot and that kind of thing. And you're like, oh my goodness, you know, why do I have to deal with this? So be forewarned, forearmed about that one. This energy can indicate that going on. There might be some money issues as well with children too. They could be sort of, you know, challenging you, or, you know, spending money that you didn't know that they were spending. That kind of thing can happen as well. So be aware of that. There can be some insights and some revelations and some truths revealed regarding children. You might have thought that, they were in bed at night, tucked up, and, lights out at 10 o'clock or something, and, you hear a noise at 2 in the morning and they're climbing in through the bedroom window because they've been out running around. Like, there can be some shocking revelations regarding children and their behavior and what they're up to as well. So, keep your eyes peeled, have those eyes in the back of your head regarding your kids, and don't take everything at its face value this week. There could be more going on than meets the eye. Also, relationships. Okay, let's talk relationships, because this is a house of dating, romance, and all that nice stuff that happens before you settle down and get committed. Committed, yes. This is an energy that can also apply, as I've just described for the children, to our boyfriend-girlfriend kind of experiences. Our boyfriend-girlfriends might be behaving very unusually, very sort of unexpected behavior. Strange behavior. They could even start to get a bit manipulative, a bit controlling of us, a bit dominating of us, a bit sort of stalking, they're following our every move. They don't trust us anymore, or we don't trust them. It can go either way. You might be stalking them, you might be following their every move and, checking up on them when they say they're going to be at lunch at McDonald's and they turns out that they were, down the street meeting a colleague or something like that, and you're like, what's going on? And you start to worry and you start, okay, I'm not saying that people are having an affair under this influence. That's not what I'm saying at all. But you might lack trust issues. You might be feeling that something's not quite right, and you might get controlling and intense and dominating, or they might. They might be issuing ultimatums to you. If you don't get off my back, then we're done, that kind of thing. So be aware that these couple of months, October and November, are really intense for relationships. It's causing a lot of relational fractures. I'm feeling this I'm not in a relationship, but, friendship-wise, I can feel this happening around me. And, there's a lot of this energy of just hairline cracks appearing where maybe there were none. So be conscious that can be the case with this difficult energy this week as well. Things are sort of coming to light or aggravating you more than they usually would, and causing this volatility and, maybe arguments and that kind of thing that might be happening too. Now, this is a house of joy and exhilaration, and the positive with this energy is that there might be the chance for you to discover some sort of new occult interest. You might develop a passion for astrology, Gemini, that you haven't had before, and it exhilarates you, it lifts you up, it gives you excitement and happiness, it puts the fire of the gods into you, because Pluto's in the 8th house where he's very comfortable for you, and he is making an aspect, albeit a difficult one, to the house of your hobbies, your interests, and the joy of life. And so, look, there could be this dynamic of discovering a new occult hobby or interest that just lights you up, sets your heart on fire. That is a positive influence that this energy can actually bring you. And, you might get quite obsessive about it. It is a Pluto hard aspect after all. But why not? It's pretty harmless to be obsessed about astrology. I am. So why not? That's a better expression of this energy than being in a confrontational situation with boyfriends, girlfriends, or children. That's a better way to utilize this energy. Okay, Cancer. Cancer rising, sun or moon people. Well, we're experiencing, if we're a Cancer strong person, this energy falling in our 4th house. And this is the energy of Pluto making a square to the sun conjunct Venus. And so this could indicate a bit of a challenging dynamic with family relationships, my beautiful Cancer friends. So it could be a mother figure in your life. It could be your mother, or it could be, if you're married to somebody who's a mother, it could be that. Some feminine influence in the maternal might be being very abusive, controlling, manipulative, dominating, and you're like, I've just got to get out of here. I've got to break free. That there is this blockage. I feel like I can't break free. Or like the block can cause this. The fact that there's a block to breaking free, and of course this is in the house of your partnership as well, 'cause it could be a wife that we're seeing here, a feminine influence, or it could be Cancer, it could be a man as well, because the sun is part of this dynamic too that's being influenced. But what we're seeing is this this friction of pushing up against one another and walls that you can't get past. And what does that do? That causes us to get frustrated. Why can't you understand? How come you can't see my point of view? Why do you always do this and that? And so we have this like relational arguments and argy-bargy and head-butting kind of situations because we're so frustrated by the blocks that are here, the impediments to the relationship moving ahead that are there. And so boom, very confrontational energy, I must say, for my Cancer friends this week. Some signs don't have it quite like this, but for my Cancer friends, it is really rather a challenging one because 2 angular houses are being triggered by this dynamic also, especially if you've got planets at 26 degrees Libra or 26 degrees Capricorn. So expect some strange behaviors from a maternal figure in your life perhaps, or a partner. There's likely to be, like I said, a lot of intense behavior and controlling behavior and ultimatums and threats going on. Be aware of that. Be aware of these threats, and don't, like, if this was me, I wouldn't be taking them personally. I would be honoring myself. I would be honoring myself and my needs and my heart first. But that's just me. You're on your trajectory and your path, whatever that might look like for you. I don't I have Uranus with my moon in my chart. I can't stand ultimatums and threats. I am a big believer in people being free. And, if your partner or your mother or your a maternal figure in your life in some way, or someone in your family, 4th house, is threatening you, if you don't toe the line and do this, if you don't make me happy, if you don't, get in line with what my agenda is, that's the big red flag for me to get the hell out of there. That's just how I function, because freedom to me is so much more important than keeping up appearances and trying to please usually unpleasable people. So I would rather be free than tied down to someone who's threatening and giving ultimatums and controlling and, abusive in that regard. This is like Cancer. You guys have to be really careful of codependency, you Cancer strong people, because it can exhibit sometimes in your life. Cancer is one of the signs associated with codependency. So be aware of that. And when we're codependent, then we tend to let people just walk all over us and threaten us, and in energies like this be dominating and abusive. So I would just encourage you to maybe consider the path of freedom, the path of, hang on, this is not love, this is not the highest vibration at all. This is not for me. This is not my journey. I want love. I want high vibration. I want freedom for all people, including myself. I want liberation. This is a moksha house, the 4th house, the house of liberation. So be aware of that too. I really think, like, my heart aches for you Cancer people. I think this is going to be a challenging influence for you this week. So draw on your strength, draw on your courage, because you can overcome this and move beyond it. Even though there's going to be some really rather sharp challenges. You might feel like your safety, security, and stability is being threatened by this as well, by the behaviors of perhaps these women or these partners in your life. That can be the case where you're feeling that your material stability and your foundation is somehow being threatened. I guess you've got to weigh up whether your material stability is more important than your emotional well-being. I know, I don't know, I'm a bit of a wild thing, I suppose, but I prefer to look after my emotional health. That comes first priority, because I believe when our emotional well-being is okay, then all the other good material things tend to come in as well. But you've got to take care of your emotional well-being first and foremost. That's just my perspective. I mean, you can take that or leave that. It's all well and good for me to say that, if your security and stability is feeling under threat this week, that, just walk away. I mean, I'm not in your position. So if that's something that's going on for you, weigh up, what is going to be the most beneficial for you in the long run, your emotional health or keeping that material stability. Okay, only you can answer whether that is, that only you can give yourself the answer to that circumstance that you're in. So be careful of your domestic life. It could be rather volatile and hairy this week. because of this influence of Pluto. Also, if you're in some sort of family-owned business or an inherited business, or you're running a business from home, there could be blocks and restrictions to money. Money challenges might be present. So maybe have a little bit of a rainy day fund ready, couple of $100 if you can manage it, there to draw from if you need to, if things get a bit tight at any stage over those couple of days. It's not a long-term thing I'm talking about here. It's just a couple of day influence, okay? So there might be some issues around a small business that you're running. There might be some domestic issues as well. Do be careful of flooding that could happen, but also when I say flooding, I'm like backing up of the plumbing pipes. There could be issues with plumbing. There could be issues with water being able to get away in your actual domestic, like physical house. Pluto is the plumbing. So when I say flooding, it's not because suddenly a flood comes through your house, although we are under threat of that where I live in Australia right now. We've had more rain than you can proverbially poke a stick at, and a lot of my friends' houses are under threat, so that's just our circumstance. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, there's a blockage, 90-degree angle, Pluto to the fourth house of home. There might be a block in your pipes, a block in your downpipe or the stormwater drain or something, and it can cause backing up and flooding. So just be conscious of your plumbing in your home. Okay, thank you, Cancer. Cancer rising, sun or moon. Leo rising, sun or moon. Well, you guys, my beautiful Leo friends, are having the conjunction of the sun and Venus, but it's squaring Pluto, being of its greatest effect over here in the third house. So what does this mean for you? Well, it's third house people in your life, Leo, that might be behaving very unusually, threatening, controlling, and being really intense and full on. This could be siblings. This could be, brothers and sisters. It could be relatives. It could be neighbors as well. Getting a bit antsy, getting a bit jumping up and down, and you can't tell me what to do, and you have to pay your half of the fence, for your half of the fence, and that kind of stuff. Be aware that manipulation and control issues can come to a head. Sorry, I had trouble getting my words out there for some reason. That's the third house thing too, being able to speak. Maybe we're having trouble speaking our truth, revealing our truth, highlighting our truth. That could be the case for some Leo people. We need to speak up and speak out, but something is blocking, something is restricting. That's just something that's come to me because I'm struggling to get my words out as I'm speaking here. So that can be the case. Pluto blocking, restricting the power of our words in some way. So maybe you need to make a speech, maybe you need to have a conversation, maybe you need to share your truth this week, Leo, and there is some impediment to doing so. Maybe your opportunity to give this big speech is cancelled, or maybe you need to have a heart-to-heart conversation and the person keeps putting it off and postponing it and not being available when you need to share something really important with them. There can be an impediment to you communicating what you need to communicate in some way with this influence as well. Now, this is also an energy of running a small business. So if you do run a small business, I'm a Leo sun, I run a small business, okay, I need to be aware because Venus money is involved. I need to perhaps put some money aside just in case there are some unexpected expenses or blocks to my financial abundance in some way this week. I need to be very aware of that. So if you run a small business, do take extra precautions, do put extra money aside there I go again, struggling to get my words out, where you can. If you are, if you're prone to worrying, this energy probably isn't going to help you, especially if you're worrying about a relationship. This is the house of our mental thought processes. Venus is love. Venus is also money. They're two things we tend to worry about a lot as human beings. And Pluto making this square aspect from the sixth house of worry. Both the sixth house and the third house have connections to sort of mental anxiety and worry. And so this can be exacerbated. Leo, you might be in a bit of a worry wart this week, or in a state of anxiety and nail biting over something you may not even need to worry about, but that energy might just be there. So have a strategy in place, like maybe you might like to journal when you're feeling that way, or call a friend when you feel that way. Maybe you might like to get restless with the third house energy and take a walk to try and dissipate some energy of anxiety. Have some strategies up your sleeve, because the mental processes of this energy can be a little bit overwhelming and full on, okay? There could also be some sort of news that comes your way. Also, my beautiful Leo friends, this is the house of news, and so there might be some shocking news. Pluto is a shocking sort of experience, some shocking news, some shocking revelation or truth that's revealed to you, that you get. Somebody sends you a message, somebody sends you a letter, and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm so shocked to receive this. I didn't expect this. And this could be regarding things that are ruled by the sun or by Venus. It could have to do with some love relationship that's quite shocking, or a young woman that sends you a message that's quite shocking. My beautiful Leo friends, you might get an email from a woman who, maybe she's your enemy, 6th house. Maybe she's your foe, maybe she's your competition, and she sends you a message of how dare you, and I don't like you, and screw you, and blah blah blah. That could come as quite a shock this week too. That's an energy that might play out with that dynamic too. Or it could even be like some sort of a sun-like personality, like a celebrity, or some person of inspiration, somebody that you look up to. A father figure even can be the sun, that sort of surprises you with an email or a message that's really hurtful or surprising or shocking, and you didn't expect that to happen. So there can be that kind of thing going on. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing for my beautiful Leo friends. Now, finally, we get to Virgo. Thank you, Virgo, for your patience. We've had a lot of Libra focus over the last few weeks, which has meant Virgo has often gone last in our readings. So I do thank you, Virgo, for your beautiful patience. Thank you very much. Now, the energy of the Sun conjunct with Venus and making a square to Pluto on the 20th of October at 26 degrees is what we're talking about here. So it is obviously, there we are, Virgo, I'll get it right, Virgo rising, sun or moon. It's obviously affecting your 2nd house, my beautiful Virgo friends. So this might be that somebody who is associated with your money gets a bit funny, gets a bit controlling, gets a bit, maybe even abusive. So be careful, Virgo, like with your bank manager, because bank managers are seen here. Hairdressers are seen from the 2nd house, because they take care of your hair. Dentists, they take care of your teeth. Anything to do with your face. An optometrist, taking care of your eyes. People who care for that component of the body, your hair, your eyes, your nose, teeth, face, they might, and your money is seen from the 2nd house. People who are dealing with those realms of your life might get a bit funny, a bit controlling, a bit demanding. They might issue you ultimatums. You have to pay for your hairdressing appointment in advance. I don't care if you cancel, you won't get your money back, so you've got to pay up front or something. And maybe that can happen. Somebody in a 2nd house realm of your life gets demanding, issues threats, issues ultimatums in some way. There can be money challenges in this house as well, with this dynamic playing out. So I've just come to my head that this Pluto is in your 5th house of children. There might be some money issues related to children that are playing out, where a child spends all your money. I had this happen to me the other day. Oh my God, I was so angry. Years ago, my child set up a computer game account and had to give my credit card, because he was underage, to this horrible gaming company that I detest, in order for him to play these online games. He hasn't played those games for years, but he decided he'd get back on and play, and spent $700 of mine. Well, that is the kind of scenario we get out of this. A child, spending our money. And it's challenging, and it's frustrating, and oh my God, I was so upset, and I still am, because that goddamn computer company will not refund that money. Anyway, my son will have to get a few more shifts at McDonald's and pay his mum back, but that's beside the point. But this is an example of what we might see here. 5th house connecting to the 2nd house in a very difficult dynamic here of a square. Can see that might be what needs to play out. There might be a challenge with a financial situation with a child, or a lover, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, or a celebrity, or a politician. These people are seen from the 5th house. So there could be some sort of challenging financial situation with some of those people in your life. Just forewarned, forearmed on that. Now, Venus is involved in this, and Venus is women. Be careful, my beautiful Virgo friends, that women are not undermining your self-esteem under this influence. This is the house of self-worth and self-value. You've got Venus, ruler of the 2nd house, but in a really challenging dynamic with Pluto. That could be, some woman becomes abusive, becomes demanding, and it makes you feel worthless. It makes you feel second rate. Be aware of that happening as well to Virgo friends. Don't let them pull the rug out from under you regarding your self-worth and your self-value. Know who you are. Stand in your truth so that nothing can sway you, not even crazy, wild people. It may not even be a woman. It might be somebody in a position of influence, authority, or inspiration in your life, sun type energy, people you look up to, that could actually be having that impact on you as well. So yeah, it's not an easy energy, and we are entering into eclipse energy season. So there is a lot of volatility in the air and a lot of challenges in that regard too. This is a house of storing things as well. So there might be some sort of restriction or block on your ability to keep things safe. Now, look, I'm going to use an example for those of us in Victoria and the Southern Riverina of New South Wales in Australia. We are about to go through some serious flooding down here, and your ability, if you're a Virgo rising person, to keep your goods and material things safe might be under a bit of pressure right now. So forewarned, forearmed, if you are in that position, my fellow Australians in that position, maybe start to store your things in the roof, or in a sort of a shed that's high up off the ground or something, if you've got that advantage or that access. Consider what you regard as valuable, that things that you treasure, things that have meaning and sentiment to you, and make sure that they're well stored. Now, if you're not in Australia under threat of flooding, it could be something else that's being threatened, something that you keep, some material goods that you value. Maybe you've got some vintage clothing, and it's years since you've opened these boxes of vintage clothing collection, but maybe you need to, and put a few new mothballs in there to keep the silverfish at bay, because there could be a threat of something affecting what you store, what you keep with this energy. So that's another thing. And I've given you a couple of examples. It could be anything. Maybe you've got an old, collection of old cars in the shed, or a collection of first edition books. Make sure that however you're storing and keeping them, that they are safe and that they are in a good position. Okay, so that's really what I'm sensing for Virgo rising people. And in fact, that leads us to the end of our sojourn around the horoscope for Venus conjunct Sun and squaring Pluto this week. I hope this reading's been of benefit to you, and don't forget, I'll be back next week with a video all about the eclipses, what to expect, and all the lowdown. I'll catch you then.